You got the raise, the one you worked 2 years for, the one you mentally spent 100 times before it arrived. And for about a week, maybe 2, everything felt different. You felt like you'd crossed a line, like money was finally going to stop being a problem. That was 8 months ago. Right now, you have less saved than you did before the raise. You are not irresponsible. You are not bad with money either. What you're experiencing is one of the most well-documented psychological phenomena in behavioral economics. It has a name, it has a mechanism, and once you understand it, you can't unsee it. In 1949, a British historian named Cyril Parkinson published an essay in The Economist. He wasn't writing about money, he was writing about bureaucracy, specifically how government departments always found ways to spend their entire budget regardless of how large it got. His observation became known as Parkinson's Law. Work expands to fill the time available for its completion. Decades later, economists and psychologists noticed the same principle quietly operating inside personal finances. Spending expands to fill the income available, not because people are reckless, not because they lack discipline, but because the human brain is extraordinarily good at redefining normal. When you earned less, your current lifestyle felt like a goal. When you hit that income, it becomes the baseline. And the moment something becomes a baseline, the brain stops registering it as a gain and starts hunting for the next one. This is called hedonic adaptation. And combined with lifestyle inflation, it creates what researchers now call the hedonic treadmill. You keep running, the scenery keeps improving, and you never actually arrive anywhere. The salary trap isn't a spending problem. It's a perception problem. Here's what makes this particularly brutal for working professionals. A 2010 study by Princeton researchers Daniel Kahneman and Angus Deaton, both Nobel laureates, found that emotional well-being rises with income, but only up to a point. Beyond roughly $75,000 annually in their data set, additional income stopped improving how people felt about their daily lives. But here's what the headlines always miss. The people above that threshold weren't happier. They were busier, more stressed, more anchored to the income they now needed to maintain a lifestyle that was supposed to make them feel secure. The professional class, people with good jobs, steady salaries, annual increments, are uniquely exposed to this trap. Because every raise comes with a social context. A promotion means a different neighborhood becomes appropriate. A bonus means a different car becomes reasonable. A new title means a different wardrobe becomes necessary. Nobody tells you to upgrade. Nobody forces you. The pressure is atmospheric. You breathe it in. And before you've made a single conscious decision, your cost of living has quietly matched your new salary, and the finish line has moved again. Stop for a moment and think about this honestly. When you got your first real job, what did you tell yourself you'd do when you earned what you earn now? Most people had a number in their head, a salary that felt like enough. Enough to save properly, enough to stop worrying, enough to finally feel financially stable. You're probably past that number. And if you're watching this, financial stability probably doesn't feel as close as it did when that number felt like a distant goal. That gap between what you imagined this income would feel like and what it actually feels like is not a sign that you failed. It is the trap working exactly as it was designed to work. Nobody designed it deliberately. It's not a conspiracy. It's a collision between how human psychology processes reward and how modern consumer society is structured to respond to it. Every time your income goes up, an entire ecosystem, marketing, social comparison, professional culture, immediately recalibrates to show you what people at your new level do, own, and spend. And your brain, which has been running on social comparison as a survival tool for 200,000 years, takes notes. This is the thing nobody in personal finance talks about. Not the math, not the budgets, not the investment accounts, the psychological machinery underneath all of it. Because if you don't understand the machinery, every tool you pick up becomes another thing the trap absorbs. Here's exactly how it works. The brain has two systems that govern financial behavior. The first is the reward system. Dopamine-driven, short-term, extraordinarily powerful. When income goes up, this system fires. It registers the raise as a win. It wants to celebrate, to mark the new status, to signal the change. The second system is the reference point system, the part of the brain that constantly recalibrates what feels normal. Psychologists call this the adaptation level. Once the new car becomes normal, driving it no longer produces the dopamine hit it did on day one. So the reference point shifts, and the reward system starts looking for the next signal. This cycle evolved to push humans toward growth. In a modern economy with infinite consumer options, it functions as a wealth destruction machine. There's one more layer. Social comparison theory, developed by psychologist Leon Festinger in 1954, showed that humans evaluate their own situation primarily by comparing it to others. Get promoted, and you're surrounded by people who earn what you now earn and spend accordingly. The baseline shifts not just internally, but socially. The conventional advice is budgeting, track your spending, set limits, exercise willpower. It doesn't work, not long term, because it treats the symptom while the mechanism keeps running. What actually works is restructuring the reference point before lifestyle inflation can claim it. Here's what that means in practice. When a raise arrives, the window before it normalizes is small, typically 2 to 4 weeks. That is the only moment where the new income doesn't feel like a baseline yet, where it still feels like extra. That window is the leverage point. During that window, one decision changes everything. Automate a portion of the raise directly into a separate account before it touches your regular spending. Not all of it, even 40 or 50% of the increment. The remainder still elevates your lifestyle, so the reward system gets satisfied, but the bulk never enters the consumption cycle. You don't budget against it. You never see it. Your reference point forms around the smaller number. The second structural shift is reference group management, a concept that sounds clinical but is surprisingly actionable. If your financial comparison group consists entirely of people at your income level or above, your baseline will always be pulled upward. Deliberately include people in your mental reference group, mentors, communities, chosen role models who earn similar amounts but live structurally below their means. Exposure to their spending behavior gradually recalibrates what feels normal. The trap runs on automatic. So does the exit. The salary trap isn't about money. It's about a gap. The gap between what you earn and what you keep. And for most working professionals, that gap doesn't shrink as income grows. It widens quietly, invisibly, until the next raise arrives and the cycle resets. The reason this pattern persists across income levels, across cultures, across generations is that nobody teaches the psychology underneath the finances, but the numbers don't move until the mind does. That's what this channel is built around. Next week, we go deeper into the psychology of investing. If this gave you language for something you already felt, subscribe, share it with someone who just got a raise, and leave a comment. When did you first notice your lifestyle adjust to your income? I want to know where people recognize it.